Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the Core Racing Network. Tonight is going to be a very interesting race here for the Core GT Series as these guys head to a track that not a lot of people really use at all anymore on the surface. It doesn't get used that much even in some of the official races, but it is used in real life. It is used in some of the touring car races as well, and that is Virginia International Raceway, VIR. And this thing is a very interesting track here. And I mean, just looking at some of the names of the corners will pretty much tell you that the tail of the tape, as you got turns like Roller Coaster, Hog Pen, and Horseshoe. That should be enough to tell you what's going on here tonight. But gonna be riding solo here tonight as both my co-commentators are not gonna be able to make it as work obligations come into play, and their work pays a little bit better than CRN does. So I totally understand that they're not going to be able to make it here tonight. But I mean, to best describe this track, if I had to, kind of explain it to you, it's kind of a little bit of Monza. If Monza, Road America, Road Atlanta, and maybe Laguna Seca had a baby, nice, beautiful baby. It's that evil twin. That is what VIR is here tonight. It's tricky. I mean, there's no way about it. There's a lot of undulation. There's some fast S-turns. There's a couple hairpins. There's some blind corners. It's got a little bit of everything. And it's got a lot of runoff. You see a ton of grass alongside these cars that they can run off into. But don't let the grass fool you, because you're going to be hitting high speeds here tonight, and so fast that, all that grass may not be able to stop you before you get to the barriers. So I guess, drivers beware. So hope you're in for it here tonight. It's again, it's going to be quite the race here tonight. I'm going to try and get out there and give you guys a little bit of taste of what it is like going around this track. And we'll start off right here coming out of pit lane. And a very quick exit out of pit lane leads you right into the track here. And this is a track that you really need to be careful on those first couple laps, as the tires really need some time to warm up, as a lot of these corners come at you very quick, and the turning and the braking can catch you off guard very, very quickly. As going through, this is what's called a NASCAR bend right here, leading you into left hook, and then aptly named Snake, as this is taken full speed through here. Nice little straightaway to kind of get your breath a little bit, and then you go through another section right here that is not even named, but this is I guess Mama Snake. This is what I'm going to call it here tonight, because this is wide open fast. You're going to brake a little bit, grab a gear, coming through South Bend down into what's known as Oak down here, and this is kind of a double apex. You're going to swing out wide and then cut it to the inside to set you up down the very long backstretch. And this is where you're going to see some passes try to be made here. This is the best time to get the draft and try and reel people in if you can. Go up over the first little hill here, nothing to worry about. And now here's where it gets interesting, because you're braking here as you're in the straightaway going left, and then Roller Coaster comes up very quick. And this thing is a roller coaster. I mean, you're driving up and around corners. You see, I mean, I'm just trying to take it nice and easy through here, and it is still very rough. And then coming through the last couple corners, named Hog Pen. So that's a little bit of I guess, a breather lap. And hopefully the tires are warmed up enough to try and give you a quick run through this track at closer to full speed. This to me is one of the more difficult sections, left hook right here, because you really want to try and keep to the inside so you can set up the exit and get you a better entry into Snake right here through the S's. And again, you're just wide open from the time you leave left hook all the way through here, and need a little bit of bravery to keep it wide open all the way up through here. The car wants to get upset going up through a couple of these. As soon as you crest the hill, on the brake, down into 4th gear. And then swinging out and getting ready for Oak right here. Grabbing 1 gear, sliding out to the outside, and then trying to get a good turn and set you up for a good long run down the backstretch area here. And again, this is one of the very few places on this track that it lets you breathe a little bit and, you know, take a hand off the wheel, shake it out, and, you know, loosen that grip just a little bit, because you're kind of white knuckling through this entire track up into that point. And then all the way down into 2nd gear with a hard right-hand turn to enter you into roller coaster here with the car going up and down through the undulations. It really wants to, you know, kind of get upset. And then here, just trying to get the power down through this section. You're still kind of going up and over some little hills right there, so still wants to get upset, but that is your lap around VIR. These guys out there for qualifying right now. So we'll take a look at where these guys are at. And pretty decent sized field out here again, as we got about 20 guys out here. And pretty much split right down the middle between the Pro class and the AM class. And we finally got Andrew Rasmussen up there in the Pro class. For those that have tuned in and have wondered the last couple weeks and even last week, made the mistake of not just you know, calling him out throughout the race as an amateur driver, but even giving him an interview after the race, thinking that he finished in the top 3 in the amateur class, which I guess, I mean, technically he did, but he finished actually 4th in the Pro class. So either way, a good drive for him. But we are set for 45 minutes of racing here tonight. In-race reporter tonight is going to be another co-commentator of mine, but on the track here tonight, as always for the GT series, that's going to be Jimmy Covert. We're going to give him some time to get some of his qualifying laps in, as right now he's sitting at P5, and you know, he's one of the big proponents this week, just urging the guys over and over and over again, get your practice in, practice for this one, because it's a beast, plain and simple. I mean, I didn't get a chance to get in here until the session came up here, and it took me probably a good half hour just to finally get around this track. I mean, it comes at you in every which way that you can think of. But I mean, I myself was only able to run, I believe, in the high 147s, and these guys are turning laps. You see right there, Chris Hamilton on top of the boards right now for the Pro at a 146 flat. So just goes to show you why I'm in the booth and not out here with these guys. I mean, you know, hopefully these guys have put in a little bit more practice than I did, and it's certainly showing on the speed charts there. But yeah, it's going to be a fun one. It usually is, and hopefully these guys do their best to keep it out there on the track, because it's not going to be easy. And I think you're going to see a lot of guys taking off to the grass, and maybe we should have talked to Turf Pro or maybe Scott's to see if we can get a sponsorship here tonight, because they're certainly going to be using the grass here, I think, quite a bit. So as we near the end of qualifying, we'll just take a look at where Jimmy Covert is on the track, and aptly so. He is driving through the grass right now, so probably no better time than now to bring in the driver of the 14, Jimmy Covert.
And see the last part.
Yeah, I mean, just brought you in. You just got done talking about, you know, how we should have had maybe Turf Pro or Scott's sponsor this race, because I think the grass is going to get just as much use as the tarmac here tonight. But I mean, you've raced on a bunch of different road courses throughout your iRacing career, whether it's, you know, endurance, whether it's in leagues here, whether it's in officials. VIR doesn't get used that often, and I know for a lot of these guys it's the first time, myself included, you know, stepping foot on the grounds here at VIR. So what is different about this track compared to other ones?
I mean, the big difference is some of the corners, unless you know them, it's just kind of unpredictable. It'll toss the car, it'll shift the weight of the car on you depending on where you're at in the corner. So, you know, one time you might go around and, you know, your you're firmly planted to the road, and the next time you come around the same corner, and if you're just off just a little bit, the weight feels different, and you can end up sliding the car around. So a lot of practice needs to go into these. I wish everybody the best of luck. Looks like we're going to start in the middle of the pack, so that should be fun. But I think we got a good group of guys out here, and hopefully everybody gives everybody plenty of space and just a little bit of patience here, because everybody's going to be off in the grass. So hopefully we don't have any. Nobody can pass on turn 1, so it should be good, and we'll see how it goes after that, though.
Absolutely. Well, we'll let you get in the car and get ready for this thing. But before you do, anybody you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Just a thanks to everybody in Core, and obviously yourself up there in the booth. You come out every week, and let the fans and the friends and families watch these things, and we can go back and laugh and giggle and how much we suck or lost talent in a certain corner. But it's a lot of fun out here, and you could be on the track because there's a lot of good competitors here as well, and I'm sure you miss it just a little bit.
Absolutely, but I'm okay being up in the booth here tonight. I ran a little bit of practice getting in the session here. It took me about a half hour to get a lap in here, and and I think I was still maybe like high 147s. So you guys enjoy yourself out there. I'm certainly going to enjoy myself up here in the booth. But good luck out there, and maybe we'll talk to you at the end of the race.
Yeah, we'll appreciate it. We'll see you.
All right, that's the driver of the 14, Jimmy Covert. Qualifying is over. These guys are gridding up, and your starting order going for the pro is going to be Chris Hamilton on the pole, trying to reel back in Mason Smith in the points lead. We'll show you that here in a bit, as he has got the pole by a little bit over 1/10 of a second, almost 2/10 of a second over Andrew Rasmussen. Nick Nickerson in third, Pal Casca, Jimmy Covert, Kevin Delia, John Nominger, Matt Crockett, Mason Smith, and Curtis Kelly are going to actually one more, Mark Thomas there at the back, as Mason Smith, your points leader, did not put in a time, and looks like Curtis Kelly and Mark Thomas not able to put in a time as well. Switching over to the GT3 AM class, and we got 7 guys out here tonight. Dane Simpson grabbing the pole for that class by 0.12 over newcomer here, Dominique Ford. Thaddeus Marshall in third, B. Vishabasam. David Tilford, Tim Thompson, and John Green will round out your field here tonight. Okay, just trying to get the track map up for you guys once again. Now we got that. 45 minutes. I mean, this is going to be a short test, I guess, considering it's only 45 minutes, but still a test of endurance and just really mental fortitude. There's certainly some passing opportunities, but there's definitely some places where you need to hit your marks. You need to mind your P's and Q's and just get through it, and like talking to some of these drivers, survive. Just need to survive this track here tonight, make it on through, and get ready to look towards the end of this season. I mean, I know some of these guys that are up there that are fast are going to look for a win, look for a good finish, and really capitalize on their competitor struggles here tonight, as the season's coming down towards the end, as we got here tonight at VIR, then we got next week at the Indy Road Course, and then our 2-hour double points finale at Road Atlanta. So certainly nothing is set in stone for any kind of points championship or anything like that, but take a look at that right now, and the way that is going to shape up is Mason Smith is your points leader by 9 points over Chris Hamilton, 55 over Brett Guzik. Brett Guzik, again, not in the field here tonight, and maybe he's like some of these guys out here just scared to come out the VIR because it is not an easy track here. David Tilford is your points leader in the AM class, but Dane Simpson going to try and make that run back at him, and he's certainly going to need some good starts and good finishes here as he's starting on the pole for the AM class. And here tonight, he is going to try and scratch back some points on David Tilford, as he is 108 points back, as David Tilford having a good season here in the AM class. B. Vishavasam is in third in class as well. Looking at the Pro-Am, You got Mark Thomas and David Tilford with a pretty slim 30-point margin over Chris Hamilton and Abhi Vishwasam. And then 124 points back is John Nominger and Dane Simpson. These guys coming down now through roller coaster, and we will get ready to go racing here, coming through the last little section known as Hog Pen. And we're going to turn these hogs wild here real soon. Pace car is in. Barney's got the green flag in hand. And a nice slow trot up through the front stretch here.
Green, green, green.
And we are green flag racing here at VIR. Chris Hamilton on the lap pedal. These guys, again, not going to be able to pass until after turn 1. So you see these guys just kind of filing in line right now, just trying to get through right here, this section known as the Horseshoe, and then into NASCAR corner. And again, kind of just a double apex to the left. So far, so good for these guys. Just take a little wider look, see them going up through Snake. Take a look back in the field a little bit, as it looks like we had a crash here with John Nominger. And just loops it coming out of there, trying to get the power down quickly, and does a good job just getting it off the track before he gets gathered back up. And he will fall to the back of the field and have a nice long drive to catch back up here. But as it stands, Chris Hamilton out there in the lead of this race, trying to run away. He's got Andrew Rasmussen behind him, Nick Nickerson right behind him, a 3-car breakaway here to start this race off. Taking a look back here, Dane Simpson, and right behind him, the newcomer Dominique Ford, not letting him go at all. Right behind them, Pal Kaska, he is in 4th place in the pro class. But Dane making that pink machine work here nicely tonight. Take a look back here at our points leaders, and Mason Smith stuck all the way in the back right now, trying to find a way around. He's going to go to the inside of Mark Thomas there, as he is running the Lamborghini here tonight. So a new car here for Mason Smith to move up 1 spot. And we look at David Tilford. He's already up 3 spots from where he started in the race, as he is up to 5th place in the AM class. Already getting past Tim Thompson and starting ahead of John Crane as well. So good start for both of these guys. Worth noting that this race did start in the afternoon, so towards the end it is going to start getting a little bit darker. We're not going to get into any kind of nighttime race or anything like that, but it's going to get a little darker. So these guys need to make sure that they are keeping an eye on their marks, as it looks like Dane Simpson get off track here a little bit. Dominique Ford kind of following him a little bit. Ford going to look to the outside to get around, and just barely make the pass on Simpson, but now they go down the long backstretch, and it looks like these guys would just fall in line. Simpson getting a nice run, and again, just for those that are new here to the track, it's kind of weird that you're still in the straightaway here when you're starting to brake to get into roller coaster here, but those guys did stay single file and move back up here to the front of the pack. And Chris Hamilton still has a stranglehold on this thing, but not by much. Rasmussen not letting him go at all. Nickerson right there as well. Those guys have separated by 6 seconds over the next pro division driver, pro class driver, which is Pal Kaska, but he is stuck behind the 2 amateur drivers of Dominique Ford and Dane Simpson. more incidents here. Watching a couple of guys getting just a little bit off track, and I think you're going to see that quite a bit here tonight as Mark Thomas gets off track there in a roller coaster and easily gets back on. And then Tim Thompson, like he just looped it a little bit coming out of roller coaster down into hog pen. A little bit of a brush on the wall. I don't think it's going to damage that 05 machine too much there as he gets back on the track and back racing. So all in all, I mean, I got to give it up to these guys. Yeah, it's only 5 minutes into this race, but I expected a little bit more action in these, even the first couple laps here. I thought these guys were going to have a bit of a rough start, just trying to push it a little bit too much and get around guys while you're nice and close to each other, but not the case. They've kind of separated a little bit, and you know, some guys have made some little mistakes here and there, but all in all, a good start for the GT series. As Chris Hamilton now starting to put a little bit of a gap between him and Rasmussen, as Rasmussen's got his mirror full of Nick Nickerson just trying to hold him back, and maybe a little more mirror driving than trying to look out front right now. But it looks like our in-race reporter, Jimmy Covert, has had a bit of a moment. The car wiggling already, just going down the straightaway, and then goes to go into the corner, and not sure if he got hit there at all. Looked like the back end just kind of stepped out on him, and he's going to go around looking for a place to rejoin the track, and he's got to wait for a decent amount of traffic. He's actually going to back it up before he gets back going, and it looks like going back up front, Nickerson having a bit of a moment as well, as he's going to slide off. And that is a big slide off there in South Bend in turn 10, but he does collect it back up. Doesn't hit anything, but you see those tires were just a little bit angry coming through and onto the backstretch right there. So that's going to separate these front three by just a little bit. Looks like Pau Casca has finally made the move and gotten around Dane Simpson as he tries to move through these amateur drivers to try and catch up to the back of the, or not the back, but the back of the top three here for the Pro Series. He's got one more to go, and that is, again, newcomer Dominique Ford out there having a pretty good showing right off the bat, leading the amateur class right here. Simpson looking to the inside, getting very close, maybe in a little bump there to Casca, as he may feel a little bit held up right now. He does not want to see that leader for the AM class get away. He knows he needs as many points as possible to try and reel back in David Tilford, who has now caught the back of a B Vishwavasan, as that will be for position. That is for fourth position here in the AM class, as Vishwavasan riding around behind Kevin Delia, who is in fifth place in the Pro. Take you on board here with David Tilford as he tries to run down the 08 of Vishwavasan. Able to reel him in a little bit on the straightaway, and then you see nice late braking here from Tilford, going to get him really close into roller coaster. Grab third gear and try and get a good exit and get the power down as quick and as much as possible out of hog pen the last couple of corners here and down the front stretch. And he is certainly reeling in that 08 to try and take over fourth place. And it looks like up in front in the meantime, leader of the M-Class, Dominique Ford, getting loose and getting off the track, and that's going to allow 3 cars to pass right there and give Dane Simpson the lead back in the amateur class. But right behind him is Thaddeus Marshall as we hop on board with him right now, looking at the back of the 96 machine, trying to reel him in up through Mama Snake here. And you hear him doing his best to try and keep that thing wound wide open. Casca off the track in front, is going to save it, doing a good job there, but going to hamper the entry. But he will get through and onto the backstretch cleanly and in front of these guys. But we had a couple other incidents here. Curtis Kelly, this going down into turn 1. And the back end just stepping out. And I wish, for things like that, it wouldn't say crashed on SDK, because I see a bright red. It says, Curtis Kelly crashed, but that's just a little spin. That's nothing really crazy to worry about. Tim Thompson also says the same thing, and I'm guessing it was the same thing here. This is down into turn 1, and yeah, same thing. That back end just stepping out a little bit here for the 05 of Tim Thompson. And unfortunately, it spins out a little bit much there, but he will have the room to get that thing righted and back on track. Back up now to, again, Thaddeus Marshall trying to run down Dane Simpson. It's the battle for the class lead. And you kind of get an idea, how fast those guys are going through Snake right there. When you're on board, it doesn't seem that bad, I guess, but man, from the outside, you see just how fast they're ripping through some of these corners. It's pretty crazy. While I have the chance, thank you to everybody that's out there watching tonight. See High Tech Racing out there. Barry, I know you're out there watching. Thank you for everyone that's tuning in for this race right now, and that will in the future. Please make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't to this point, as these guys are putting on a good show here at VIR. Certainly making it interesting. Thad Marshall still not able to close the gap enough to make a move on Dane Simpson. Out front in the pro class, you see by the intervals there, Chris Hamilton starting to stretch out to almost a 4-second lead over Rasmussen, who's got about a 4-second lead over Nick Nickerson. So top 3 that did break away, they're 10 seconds ahead of Pal Casca, but they've separated from each other as well. This one of the closest battles on the track. And Casca going around out of turn 2 again. Gonna save it. That allows the 2 AM class leaders to go on by. And even third place, Dominique Ford, who has reeled these guys back in, he wants to get back in the lead of that class once again as well. So right there, first, second, and third in class. Take a look at another battle back here. This is the battle for 8th place, as you got the 14 right there, Jimmy Covert, and right there, the 44 of John Nobinger. 7th and 8th place right now in class. And right ahead of them, actually, is the 56 of Curtis Kelly. So this is 6th, 7th, and 8th. Nose to tail up through Mama Snake. Good save there by Jimmy Covert, as that was certainly a little wiggle. But able to keep that Curb Cutters GT3 straightened out. I'm going to try and make a run here, as it looks like Nick Nickerson, not sure where that went wrong. We'll try and rewind it here a little bit. But yeah, just sliding all the way off the track. Just trying to get a little bit too much coming onto the backstretch. Slides it around and looks like he's just going to roll and back it down into the grass. And from there, he towed back into the pits. And that might be the end of the night for Nickerson, as seems like lately in these races, once he's having a bad night, he just up and leaves. He doesn't stick around too much to try and see if he can right the ship. So that's going to be a last place finish for Nickerson. And second place in the pro class, Rasmussen not having that much more fun either, as he gets a little loose and then a lot of loose as he's going to step it out onto the grass, and he's going to lose sight of leader Chris Hamilton as you see him just struggling just to get back on the track. He will do so, but that took quite some time, and now that lead has swelled all the way up to 17 seconds. And now the leader of your AM class, certainly under some pressure by Marshall and Ford. And he's going to lose it at the same place that Nickerson did, heading out to the backstretch as the second and third place drivers go side by side coming through there. Looks like Simpson's going to fall all the way back into fourth place in class. We'll take a look at that one more time from Dominique Ford, as he was in third entering this little section right here, but he sees the gap, and tell you what, talk about shooting a gap right there. I mean, that is certainly one way to do it, as he gets ahead and gaps Thaddeus Marshall. Still a good battle between fifth, sixth, and seventh now, with Nickerson pulling in the pits. So these guys are now battling for a top 5 position, and man, we got all kinds of action right there. And not sure exactly what happened. Let's take a look back here as Ford and Marshall, looks like they got together. Oh, Ford losing it, and all three of that third car involved is your points leader in the pro class. That is Mason Smith. You see third place in the class, actually fourth. Dane Simpson looping around, as well as, I didn't think we could have a big one on a road course, but I think we just had the big one. And now look at fifth place, the car we were just watching getting right in the mix. And man, we've got traffic here at VIR. Looks like Ford had another moment after that. And this was a big moment. And I think it's kind of funny. I mentioned earlier about SDK saying that somebody crashed, and it ends up just being a little spin. That one was just Dominique Ford went off track. Yeah, he definitely went off track. He went off earth for a second there as his car went up into the air. But unfortunately, that forced him to tow back to the pits. And then right after that, looks like Mason Smith having some more issues here, as he is trying to run down Thaddeus Marshall just to get around him. And Marshall gets a little sideways, locks it up, and unfortunately Mason Smith nowhere to go and hammers into the back of him. So the points leader in the pro not having a good night here, as he is still towards the back of the pro class. He is in 7th place, while Chris Hamilton, second in points coming in here, is enjoying a 19-second lead. Meanwhile, with all that action going on between Dane Simpson and Thaddeus Marshall and Dominique Ford and pretty much half the field, that has moved your amateur points leader, David Tilford, nicely into the lead once again, looking for his second win on the season here. And the floodgates just kind of opened for him, and he was able to go from fourth right up into first. And now he's got about a 4.5 second lead over Abhi Vishwavasan, who is now in second in the class. He's got a 6 second lead over Dane Simpson, who's fallen back to third. Crane's in fourth, Thompson in fifth. Thaddeus Marshall falls way back into sixth place. And then Dominic Ford had to tow and went back into the pits. So man, that incident certainly shook the entire field up. As we look, still the battle close here between Jimmy Covert and John Nobinger. As we look back earlier, and the reason we lost Curtis Kelly from this little battle was right here, sliding out a little bit wide in turn one. You see Dane Simpson kind of following him a little bit, but that's why he lost touch. He lost fifth place, and actually third place technically in class now with everything else that's going on. So Jimmy Covert is now third place in class. John Nobinger, fourth place in class. Is the closest battle on the track right here, and we will hop on board as they come out of Snake. And you see Nobinger having to back off there before getting into to Mama Snake here. And the car just getting a little tight through that section, little aero tight. So gonna have to back it off. And heading down into the double right-hander of Oak to set it up to go down the backstretch. Both drivers getting a good exit out of there. Covert getting a little bit better exit. He's gonna pull away just slightly down the backstretch. But you see that time coming down slowly but surely. That Mercedes certainly has some good drive out of the corner. Like the Porsche is going to even out a little bit more on the top speed. That's why you see it kind of not gaining towards that top end there. And now Nobinger getting very close, getting into roller coaster here. And Covert's going to hold on for the time being. But this thing may not be over, and this thing may be set up here for a pass down into turn one. Looks like Covert going to block the inside here a little bit. Nobinger, no place to go right now. He's going to back it off for now and settle in as we are just about a halfway. This is going to allow Dane Simpson to close back up on these guys, as he is still he's now sitting in second in class here. As a couple of these guys, it looks like Vishwavasan has come into the pits to make his pit stop. As we are certainly inside the pit window now, so we'll see who's going to come in here. Hamilton, though, out to a 21.5 second lead. It'd be very interesting to see where Mason Smith kind of slots out here, too, as he's already made his pit stop. And it looks like he is the highest running car right now in the pro class that has made the pit stop, but he was, marred way back there in 7th place to begin with. So we'll see if he can make up any kind of time on these guys, as he is he's one lap down right now, and that is not where he wants to be, especially coming in here and trying to stretch out that points lead with only 2 races left to go. But the battle still wages on. You see on your relative there, again, best battle on the track right here as it's getting even closer. Quarter second separating these guys. Heading up the hill here, and now the drop down the hill through the roller coaster. And Covert just doing what he needs to do right now and keeping that 44 back behind him. But he is now going to pull it into the pits, and you see right in front of him there, leader in the AM class, David Tilford, also in pit lane, so that's going to give the lead back to Dane Simpson for the time being. Covert in the pits, Kelly in the pits there from 6th as well. Actually from 5th place. So pits starting to get a little hot and heavy here. Take a look up here. Your leader, overall leader, and leader in the pro class. Chris Hamilton now out to a 22.5-second lead, as he is certainly putting the pedal down here tonight. We'll see if he elects to make his pit stop this time by. I mean, when you're on a roll like this, sometimes even though you're in your pit window, you kind of don't want to come in because you don't want to give up all the momentum that you got going on, but that's exactly what he will do. As long as he hits his marks coming in, he's got plenty of time behind him, so no sense trying to even threaten speeding coming into the pits. Hits his mark coming in. And you see Andrew Rasmussen now finally coming through the last corners. Is he going to stay out to lead a lap? No, he's going to bring that Porsche into pit lane as well. And third place, you see way back there is John Nobinger. Finally just getting into roller coaster right now, so he won't even be at the pit lane probably by the time Rasmussen is starting to come out already. Chris Hamilton already out of the pits, so he is going to stay in the lead. And Nobinger going to bring it in as well. So we'll take a look back here at Jimmy Covert and see if he can get back around to the 44 of Nobinger. And Nobinger still in pit lane, so 14 of Covert's. Actually, Nobinger just coming out. And there's the battle right there as they head down into turn 1. Covert late breaking into the corner, but Nobinger gonna get it done on the inside, and the overcut is gonna work here tonight as Nobinger goes an extra lap, and that is enough to get him around the 14. Now, can he be mistake-free and stay ahead of him? Looks like a little moment back here for Mark Thomas. Coming through the final corners here, and plenty of grass there to save it, so he'll work his way back out onto the track. Mark not having a good night here for for what he considers to be a good night, as he is stuck back there in the field here in the pro class, back there in 7th place. And looks like Abhi Vishwasam has had an incident as well. Again, saying that he crashed, and that was just a little minor spin right there. And then this apparently is a crash right here as well. Just getting back on the track apparently is a crash, as Mason Smith right behind him, getting all kinds of loose, just trying to get around through there. Gonna brush into the tire barriers just a little bit. So not a good night for your points leader. And I mean, not sure if we can blame VIR, not sure if we can blame that Lambo. I'm not really sure, but it's kind of a shock to see Mason Smith struggle this much here. But as it stands, you got Chris Hamilton at 21, almost 22-second lead over Rasmussen. Nobinger in 3rd, Covert in 4th, Curtis Kelly in 5th in your pro class. And then in the AM class, it is David Tilford, Dane Simpson, Thaddeus Marshall, Abhi Vishwasam, and John Crane, your top 5. And looks like more hurt here for Mason Smith. And this time, the car just does not want to brake and get down into roller coaster. And again, he does it right in front of Mark Thomas. And he's probably seen how Mason Smith's been one too many times here tonight, as he's been front row seat for a couple of these. And Mason Smith just having trouble even getting back up the hill here. And he actually had to jump back into the pits, as he might have had some extra damage on that car. And wow, that is not good at all. And a little bit later, more woes here for the 50 of Mark Thomas, and he's going to back into the tire barrier. Nothing too crazy, a little bruised back end there, but he will get that thing back going. And second half of this race, not being kind to these drivers. As we take a look, Jimmy Covert has worked his way back around John Nobinger once again. We'll take a look back at the pass as it happened. Nobinger getting a little bit loose and a little bit off track. And that is all Covert needed, the little window that he needed to see right there. He is able to get back past and move back into third place in the class. Got to give it to David Tilford, though, as he's probably been the one that we haven't talked about really that much at all here tonight. And he is, again, your AM class leader, but he's worked his way from the back to the front once again. And not only is he in the front of the AM class, but he is third place overall right now. So he is in front of this battle right here between Jimmy Covert and John Nobinger. So a great drive here for the 12 machine. As we are down to less than 15 minutes to go, and it's about time for me to mute myself and give you guys a little love to hear it. of the sights and sounds here of the GT3 cars running around here, and possibly the first night all season that we've actually have every car, make, and model here that you can be driving here in the GT3s. As you got a bunch of guys out there in the Mercedes. You see Chris Hamilton there running the Mercedes. Rasmussen, Covert, Kelly running the Porsche. You got Mark Thomas and a few others, David Tilford, Dane Simpson running the BMW. You had Matt Crockett in the Ford. Unfortunately, he's out of the race right now. You have Pal Kaska in the McLaren. And you have Dominique Ford. Unfortunately, you rode on board with him when he put his Audi into the wall and did a few spins. So all 7 of the GT3 cars out here in the field tonight, at least at one point or another. Some of them out of the race at this point, but Chris Hamilton still enjoying a nice sizable lead there, 24.6 second lead over Andrew Rasmussen, as we are down under 10 minutes to go in this race, almost 9 minutes to go. Both those guys lead Jimmy Covert by a pretty good margin, another 38 seconds back to Jimmy Covert. Curtis Kelly in 4th, John Nominger in 5th, Mark Thomas in 6th, Pal Kaska, Mason Smith, Matt Crockett, Nick Nickerson is your 10 car field in the pro class. And Kevin Delia actually there as well. He is going to finish in 11th place in the pro class. And then in the AM class, you have David Tilford with an 18.4 second lead over Dane Simpson, who's got his mirror full of Thad Marshall right there. You see these guys driving off down into turn 1. That is the battle for second. 4th place, you have John Crane, who's having a pretty good run out here tonight, getting around Vishwavasan earlier. Tim Thompson in 6th, and then Dominique Ford is in 7th. So a good start to the core career there for Dominique Ford, as he was able to get to the front of the AM class and lead a little bit, but then some issues started to pile up, and now it sees him in the pits getting that thing repaired, and looks like he's probably going to end up finishing in 7th place for this race. But battle waging on here, and aggressive pass there going into to Mama Snake, as Thad Marshall going to move himself back into 2nd place, but Dane Simpson right on that back bumper. He wants that position back. He's got a points battle here, and some great aggressive driving here by these guys, as now Simpson going to chase him all the way down the backstretch. And we'll hop on board with Dane Simpson here as he tries to reel back in Marshall and really take the fight to the end of this thing for 2nd place. These guys are 2 of the competitors that are going to be running in the upcoming iRacing endurance event, and that is the, well, before we get into that, side by side there for second. But as I was saying, the next iRacing special event here, oh, and a little bit of contact right there, and that's going to send Dane Simpson off into the grass. He's going to have to collect it back up. But the next iRacing special event is the Sebring 12-hour, and that is coming up in just a few weekends here, starting on March 24th, as we already got 4 teams lined up for that one. You got Jimmy Covert, Derek Sherman, Thaddeus Marshall going to be running in the LMP2 class, and then 2 teams are already set. That is the red team, Core GT3, Mark Thomas, Chris Hamilton, and myself. The Core GT3 pink team right here, one of the drivers, Dane Simpson, Abhi Vishwavasan, and John Nobinger. And then the Core Team 3 right now, the color yet to be determined, but that is Tyler Wong and John Crane, and they're looking for one more. So we'll see if possibly Barry Jansen and or David Tilford maybe jump on board with that team. But should be looking at least 4 teams here for the Sebring 12 hours. So wish us luck, and we'll try and have as much covered on CRN or through the Core Racing League Facebook page. So we'll see the different streams for the different teams. But this thing is starting to come down to an end now, as we are 4 minutes left in this race. So about maybe 3 laps to go here for these drivers, as it looks like John Nominger had a bit of an incident here. And yeah, coming down through the roller coaster, big slide off there, and using up all of that grass. I mean, I think he fit a baseball field out there with all that grass. He's going to bring it back on track. But Dane Simpson going to be able to work around him. Again, that's not for position. But as it stands, Hamilton, Rasmussen, Covert, your top 3 in the Pro. Tilford, Marshall, and Simpson, your top 3 in the AM. Doesn't look like there's any close battles right now. So as long as these drivers can just keep it on track here for these last 3 minutes, that will end up being your finishing order. But as I said before the race and even during the race, this track can be absolutely brutal. And it's starting to, I think, bite these guys as they're maybe getting a little bit more comfortable and deeper into this race, and maybe they're pushing a little bit harder than they've been because they feel just they can do that, and it's starting to bite back here a little bit. But not for Chris Hamilton. He's had a nice clean drive here. Looks like Nominger had a bit of an incident here once again. And yeah, just a little bit tough. You see this corner right here in particular, heading onto the backstretch, has been a bit of a bugaboo for quite a few drivers here tonight. As we may have a battle brewing here for inside the top 5. This is the battle for 4th place. You got Abhi Vishwasam trying to run down the 11 of John Crane for 4th place, as we've just got a couple laps left to go in this thing. So he's got to get it done quickly here. Gets it nice and close going into turn 1 and through the horseshoe. These guys will have the overall leader here coming up on them very soon. And this could be a bad thing, because if he is able to get around them, that might be one less lap that these guys will be able to drive around and try and race each other. So not good news for Vishwasam if that is the case. And we'll see if there's a little bit of, faux team orders here between the 08 and the 64 to let them race for one extra lap, as looked like Crane got a little bit loose going through those corners, but he's able to right it, and now they head down the backstretch, and Crane still in 4th place. Vishwasam trying his best. As we head onto the chopper cam here, you take a look down the nice, long, straight backstretch here. And if I'm not mistaken, this maybe either this is the final lap or they're coming to the final lap right now, as time is about to tick off, and Chris Hamilton right behind these guys. We'll see if they get an extra lap here as time is expired. And yeah, that looks like it may do it here. That's going to do it for Chris Hamilton. These guys will be able to fight it out for one more lap. Chris Hamilton, your winner here in the GT3 Pro class. This battle is not over. Rasmussen going to bring it home in second place in the Pro. Mark Thomas going to finish in sixth. Tim Thompson going to bring it home in sixth in the AM class. Those are the only guys that have actually crossed the finish line to end this thing. Crane going to stretch out the lead here just a little bit. Coming through the two snakes. And now down into Oak, just needs to keep it clean, as they got some issues in front of them. And John Nominger was sideways in there, and that may have just saved John Crane, as he was able to go to the inside. Vishwasham had to take evasive action, go to the outside, and now John Crane is going to be able to stretch out his advantage. Some of the other guys coming across the line. Jimmy Covert doing a fantastic job finishing in third place. Curtis Kelly going to bring it home in fourth. Nominger will end up finishing in fifth. Your points leader, Mason Smith, will finish in eighth place in the class. That is a big championship implication for him. David Tilford going to win in the AM class. Thaddeus Marshall coming home in second. Dane Simpson third. John Crane going to hold off Abhi Vishwasham for fourth place. Great battle there to the end for these guys. And yeah, I mean, certainly some winners out here on the track, but I think all in all, the drivers were able to tame this track pretty well. Certainly some guys having some issues, but great race for these guys, and we'll start bringing them in for their interviews. All right, and we'll do it a little bit differently here tonight, and we'll start in a bit of reverse order, and we'll bring in our third place finisher here in the GT3 AM class, and that is the 96 Dane Simpson. And Dane, you had a fast car out here tonight. You were able to grab the pole in the AM class, and you led a bunch of laps, and then it looked like you got into a bit of a battle between yourself, Thaddeus Marshall, and even a couple others there, and you end up having to fall back to third. Do you feel like you had one slip away here tonight?
Oh, definitely. You know what? I just I got fighting, and I let the tires get too hot, and I could tell, and I knew there were going to be a problem, and then I started slipping around, and that's was what it was.
Do you feel like a possibility at the points might have slipped away from you here tonight? I mean, you had the good qualifying there, so you obviously picked up the 5 points. And you had the laps led, and you had the lead, and you had David Tilford, pinned back there in fourth place. But then when it was kind of, I guess, the big one at VIR, where it seemed like there was half the field involved in the incident, David Tilford was able to make his way through and just found his way to victory once again.
Yeah, he did a great job of picking his way through there and staying clean throughout the race. Myself and Thaddeus, we kept kind of getting locked in battles and kind of pushing the cars a little bit further than we should have been. For half the race, I thought that Curtis Kelly was also an AM, and so I was fighting as hard as I could to try and get that spot, which was ultimately a mistake. But I don't know, I'm happy with the times that I put in and everything like that. It was a good race, but like you said, just kind of a couple of little mistakes that ended up throwing it away for me.
Yeah, I mean, either way, to finish this race, let alone finish in the top three, is just still going to feel like a little miniature victory, as the track was not exactly easy, and as we talked to a few of the drivers, not a track that gets touched that often here on the service. So either way, a good job here, a good third place, and you got 2 more races left in the season. We'll see if you can try and get out there, maybe grab a win before the end. But before we let you go here tonight, anybody you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Yeah, big shout out to everybody who's watching at home. Nathan, if you're watching, to yourself, you guys for doing these broadcasts. They're great. To everybody who comes out in the league, just had an absolute blast battling this season with people like Thaddeus and Avi and John and Tim and all those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun watching you guys battle this entire season too. So we'll let you go celebrate your top 3, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you much. We'll see you then.
At your 3rd place finisher in the M class, Dane Simpson. Now 2nd place is the 187 of Thaddeus Marshall. And Thad, I talked to you before the broadcast went up, and you wanted absolutely no part in being the in-race reporter here tonight. But man, you put on one heck of a battle out there with Dane Simpson, and you put in a good performance, finishing 2nd.
Yeah, I feel bad for diving in through the S's, but I mean, it was 4th position and really had nowhere else to try it. So.
Yeah, it was getting kind of late in the race, and it was a move that was there, and I kind of don't blame you for taking it. It looked like Dane jumped right back on your back end though, and he battled you to the point where it looked like a little bit of contact on that next lap. But either way, you were able to bring that thing home in 2nd, and I mean, had it not been for the as I talked to Dane, the big one here at VIR, which took about half the field out into the grass. Do you feel like you would have had a shot at maybe the win?
I definitely feel like I could have had a shot at the win. I was right on the back of Dominic, and he just got loose, and I had nowhere to go, and Mason hit the back of me. Unfortunately, got a meatball, and Dave and everybody got around me. I thought I was going to run out of fuel at the end. I had about less than 2 gallons left when I crossed the line, so any more laps I would have been done for.
So what's it been like this season, jumping in and running a full road course season?
It's been quite a bit different. I've had to remember to be more patient instead of being complete aggression all the time. And but it's been fun. It's nice to get back into the road racing, especially with the big endurance races coming up. And just wish I could not choke away wins.
Well, certainly patience is a big thing, especially getting you prepared for some of the endurance races coming up. With you got Sebring, I was mentioning on the broadcast, coming up in a couple weeks. But either way, it's not a win here tonight, but a 2nd place finish is still got to feel pretty good at this tough track here at VIR. So we'll give you some time to give any shout outs or thanks.
I'd like to thank the guys over at D1RT Racing, you for broadcasting tonight and putting the race on in the league, and family for supporting me, and my wife for always letting me do this.
All right. Well, once again, congrats on your 2nd place. We'll let you go celebrate with the boys.
All right. Thank you.
All right. And now we will bring in your winner here in the M class, and that is the 12 of David Tilford. And David, I got to say, you did a good job. You drove back through the field as you have previously. There was no problem in that, but I almost feel like that the seas kind of parted for you there a little bit, and you were able to drive through the little bit of melee when I feel like half the field got tangled together there.
Yeah, that's true. I came out of the left-hander, and 3 cars were strewn about the track, which was convenient. Luckily, I was able to avoid getting into it with anyone, so kept it clean the whole race too. So yeah, it was a fun night.
So tell us about the challenges here at VIR. I know it's certainly not an easy track. I mean, I was out there for just a little bit, and it was eating my lunch for probably about a half hour until I could finally actually get a lap in. So what was it like driving on this track?
Well, I'll tell you what, they use this track for training GT drivers. It's often used for track days and teaching drivers how to drive, and I can see exactly why, because it has definitely a little bit of everything. Throttle control, hitting your brake markers, knowing how much wheel input you can put in while braking before you're at the limit, and it's a really nice track for being able to feel those things and test the limits of the car. It's overall just a really fun track. The seas parted for me tonight, so I didn't really get to try any major overtaking moves, but it would be a little rough on that front, I think. Be interesting to watch the broadcast back.
Yeah, that it will be. There was definitely some action going on out there, and a few times your competitors right in front of you before the incident, they were kind of neck and neck for quite a few laps, but you're able to work your way from the back to the front. You get your second win now on the season, and with the points lead you had coming in, do you feel like this thing is pretty much wrapped up, that you can go ahead and just kind of let it all hang out in these last two races and go for maybe win number 3 and/or 4?
Yep, I think it's wrapped up. Was checking the points, and I think that did it tonight to clinch the AM. So we'll just let it all hang out and see if something happens. I can maybe get an overall win. That'd be pretty awesome. But that's shooting pretty high with the level of talent that we have out here.
I mean, you did finish P3 overall here tonight, so that's certainly a fantastic drive, especially with the talent that's out here on the track with you. So congrats again on the win, and most likely the win here in the amateur class point standings. But before we let you go, anybody you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Just thanks everyone in the league for coming out here and making it a good time. Had a good time hanging out in the Discord tonight, and also just thank you guys for broadcasting. As always, thanks Carl for putting on the league and everyone that makes it possible. Thanks to my family for, as I always say, putting up with me disappearing for a while, a couple nights a week. So I think that's about it.
Well, it's certainly good when you come out of the back cave with a win, and back to the family with a win. It makes that night that much easier and that much sweeter. So we'll let you go, and congrats on the win here tonight, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, thanks, Carl.
And your winner in the M class, the 12 of David Tilford. Now we turn to the pro class, and a guy that finished behind your winner here in the AM class, David Tilford, finished 4th place overall, but 3rd place in the pro class. Jimmy, congrats on your top 3 here, buddy.
Hey, I made it back to the booth the same night. Oh man, it was a blast out there. Had a little incident early with Kevin. I had a bad, I don't know what was going on the front stretch. Anyways, I kind of lost where I was at, I guess, and the car got a little squiggly. And he went to the inside, and we had a little net. I watched the incident, and a little bit of net code, so no big deal. Spun around, and I didn't want to bring the car right back out in traffic, so I kind of sat there and debated what to do, and I finally decided to back it up and kind of angle it in, so I didn't wreck anybody. But had a lot of good laps there with John Nobinger, great racing. Me and John have had our incidents in the past, but a lot of hard racing here today, and he would take advantage of my mistakes, and I was taking advantage of his, and he was trying to set me up for a pass there towards the end, and didn't go as executed, so he ended up spinning out and falling back a little bit, but great run there by John, so congrats to him. I know he didn't finish where he wanted to, but it was a good race out here today.
Yeah, for some reason the cameras kept kind of drawn back to that battle right there, as just kind of waiting for something to happen. But yeah, it was a great battle all night, and I think the biggest battle really was between you guys and the track. I mean, this track was just a bear. I mean, it fools you with how much grass is on the side of this thing, and you feel like, okay, I can just push it a little bit because if I go off, I'm just gonna just go out there into the grass. I'm not gonna kill the car, but you kill your time, you kill your track position and everything like that by just making one little inch of a mistake, and it was waiting out there pretty much around every corner.
Yeah, and that was the big thing, with the cars, and I stressed early in the week to the league. I was like, hey, if you haven't driven VIR, please go out and practice. You need it. It's probably one of the more technical tracks I had. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, the altitude changes, the weight shifting around on the cars. I wasn't really up in the air what car to drive tonight. And when I brought the Porsche, and the guy's like, "You're bringing the Porsche?" I was like, "Yeah." So, bring the Porsche out for a little run. Get the curb cutters, paint schemes going on here that I did quite a while ago, but just a lot of fun. And everybody, I was talking to everybody in the booth before they came up here, and everybody practiced, so that was a good sign that everybody spent a little bit of time, whether it was an hour, 30 minutes, or hours and hours, but everybody did a pretty good job. And there's some mistakes out there, and you're just going to get better the more you run the track. It's a lot of track and seat time, and Chris loves this track, and he did an awesome job today, and just basically put a clinic on everybody and was able to pull away and get a good win.
Yeah, he clearly loved the track. He pretty much didn't put a tire wrong all night. But yeah, it was interesting. I seen you out there in the Porsche. I'm like, oh wow, somebody actually ventured out in the Porsche, but definitely not the only one. As Rasmussen finishing in front of you, he had the Porsche. Curtis Kelly finishing behind you, he had the Porsche, and even Kevin Delia there having the Porsche. We actually had, I think, for the first time all season, all 7 GT3s out here, as we had one of each at least. So pretty cool to see that as well. But third place here tonight, it's got to feel like a win after the battles and trials and tribulations of this track. So we'll let you celebrate that. But before we do, anybody want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Yeah, just a big stress again. Congratulations to everybody that comes out, and it just makes it fun. The guys in Discord just kind of chit-chatting back and forth, just a little bit about what we're doing and when people were pit stopping. And so, another race, guys. We'll take it to the track next week, and we'll get out there and keep going. But keep coming out, and that's what makes this series fun. And hopefully, we'll push forward with next season after this one's completed. So, but thank you to all the racers. Thank you to yourself for broadcasting, Carl, and keeping the CRN logo going there as we were shooting for our goal, obviously, for the end of the year of at least 500 subscribers. But I think we're going to hit that because our people out there, they like us. So hopefully we can hit that, and we'll keep going. But of course the wife and the kids and all that stuff, they let me do this, pretty much whenever I want, and don't give me too much grief about it.
Exactly. We keep buying those $5 games here and there. The kids stay away from you for a little bit. So
yes, sir.
So all right, congrats once again on your third place finish here tonight. We'll let you go celebrate.
All right, thank you.
All right, that third place, the 14 of Jimmy Covert. And now we bring in second place, Andrew Rasmussen. And Andrew, I finally have you in the pro class. And this time you earn your podium spot here, and you earn your trip into the booth. Congrats on second place here tonight.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
So I was kind of surprised when I was talking to Jimmy before the race, and I seen that he was in the Porsche, but you're in the Porsche there too, and a few of the guys out here in the Porsche. I feel like this was a tough enough track, and I thought the Porsche would make it even tougher, but you guys did pretty well out there.
No, yeah, the car drives really well here. It's very good for slow speed exit. But it's just a little more stable under braking since the update, so I jump back into it, and it was fun. Got to give it to Chris though, flawless race, and he's just blisteringly quick.
Yeah, he was on another level tonight. But I mean, you guys in the beginning of the race, I mean, talk to me about the beginning when it was you, Chris and Nick just kind of all stretching out. I mean, you guys got out to a 6-second lead over everybody else pretty quickly, and you guys were neck and neck for the first, probably 10 minutes of the race.
Yeah, I mean, those Mercedes are really, really fast on the straight, so it takes a lot to get out of the corner and try to keep up with them. So I was just trying to keep Nick behind me, and I ended up driving the tires off the car. They got a little too hot, started falling off a little bit. Then I had to spin, of course, my forte. Then Nick went off, and Chris kept pulling away from me, and that was it. I just decided to lay back. I knew I wasn't going to catch him because he had probably 4 tenths on me in qualifying, I think, and then just through practice about the same. So he just kept burning him in, and there was just no way I was going to make that up. But yeah, it was fun either way.
It was going to be tough, even if you stuck to the back of him. He was just not putting a tire wrong all race. But congrats here on your second place pro class driver, Andrew Rasmussen. So we'll let you give your thanks and your shout outs here before we let you go.
Yeah, hey, thank you guys, and keep doing what you're doing. It's been a fun season for sure.
All right, well, with that, we'll let you go celebrate with the guys, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
That's your second place finisher, the 111 of Andrew Rasmussen. And now we finally bring in your winner here tonight, Chris Hamilton. And I know we only have 2 classes out here tonight, but I feel like we need to make another class for you tonight, and just make it the elite class or the expert class or whatever. But you took it to these guys here tonight.
I absolutely love this track. I've done so many different kinds of racing here, even on the old version for from Miatas to GR86s to Jettas, GT4s, you name it, I've probably raced it here.
Yeah, and it certainly showed. I mean, you definitely. I said the last couple of guys, you didn't really put a tire wrong here tonight. I mean, everything looked nice and smooth, and really, unless somebody made a mistake in front of you, that was about the only way you were going to have any kind of issues here tonight. But, talk to me about this track. I talked to Jimmy about it, and, I mentioned before, if I had to describe this track compared to other GT tracks, it's almost kind of like, Monza and Road Atlanta and Laguna Seca had a baby, and then that baby had an evil twin, and that's what VIR is.
This is the redheaded stepchild of Lime Rock. That's how I think of it.
Yep, exactly. So, I mean, it's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, the main thing here is finding where you can straight line brake. There's a lot of twisting and turns and whatnot, and if you can find the line, it really opens up your corners and straightens out your braking zones.
Yeah, I mean, this track would be tough enough if it didn't have the undulations and it was just a flat track and trying to break into some of these corners. But then you have the undulations through this track as well, just, kind of really, really giving you a mental test.
Oh, yeah, and even I was, like, trying to make sure I didn't put a tire wrong here, because in practice, I was found the grass a little too much on one of them, and I was like, okay, not doing that. Just got to find the boundaries, stay within the boundaries, flirt with the edges a little bit, but then go about my day.
So, not sure if you've seen, but your closest guy here in the points, Mason Smith, the points leader coming in here, finishing in 8th place here tonight. You grabbed the pole, you had the dominating win here tonight, and Mason Smith finishing in 8th. So, most likely that'll give you the points lead back. Heading into the last 2 races of the year, obviously the last race of the year being double points, but do you feel like, next week getting a good finish is going to be paramount to try and build a little bit of a gap going into Road America? Or, I'm sorry, Road Atlanta.
A good finish is always important. I do think about the championship picture, but when it's race time, I don't even think about it. I try to get as best a position as I can. Whether it's racing the end guys, racing the pro guys, I just try to get as top 10, top 5, win podium, as high up as finishes as I can. I'm not worried about points at that given moment. I'm worried about the task at hand.
And it's a good outlook to have, because if you're doing that, then the points will fall where they fall. It's as simple as that. So congrats again here on another win, a dominating win here. And I'm not sure if Mason could have got through the field quick enough that he would even had anything for you. You were just driving that well out here tonight. So another win here under your belt. 2 more races to go here in the season, and we'll give you a chance to give your shout-outs and your thanks.
Appreciate it, Carl. Huge shout out to Ryan McCauley for doing a paint here. Make the CRN look good. Thank you, Carl, for letting me run it. Huge thank you to you for the broadcast, and thanks to everyone watching. Couldn't do it without you guys.
All right, once again, another win here for the 64, and grabbing back that points lead with authority here heading into the last couple races. So we will see you next week, and hopefully another good battle between you and Mason.
Here's to it.
All right, that your winner here in the pro class, Chris Hamilton, and just a great race by all these guys. There were certainly some incidents here and there with guys sliding off the track, and even had the quote unquote big one here at VIR. But all in all, these guys I think did an absolute fantastic job, and it really brought this thing home. That's going to do it here tonight for the Core GT Series. Tune in for tomorrow night as we have doubleheader action and double the dirt, double the fun, as the ARCA class, or the ARCA series and the truck series are both going to head to the Bristol dirt track. And I'm sorry, not the Bristol dirt track. I'm looking ahead to the next schedule. They're going to head to Knoxville tomorrow night, as the ARCA series is going to have 50 laps, and the truck is going to have 80 laps. So very, very interesting, fun races there. Well, maybe not fun for some of the guys. I know there's a lot of guys dreading running the dirt, but it's another full points night. So you have to try and, as Chris Hamilton always puts it, you win your championship on your bad nights. So we'll see how those guys do out there tomorrow night, as Dylan will bring you the coverage here on CRN. Thursday night, the Vintage Series is also going to be on the dirt. Those guys will be at Bristol Dirt for 100 laps under the lights there. And that one is always a good showing. So I'm certainly looking forward to put on the broadcast there with Jimmy on Thursday nights. The Premier Series back in action on Sunday nights as they are going to head to dirt themselves as the Gander trucks are going to be at Eldora. And that's going to be some heat racing action and a nice 70-lap feature for that one. Then next Monday night, tune in for the penultimate round here in the Core GT Series as these guys head to the Indianapolis Road Course for a 45-minute race. As again, only 2 races to go here. That one and then the double points 2-hour finale at Road Atlanta. It's been a blast here watching these guys run around the track. I'm glad I'm up in the booth and not down there in the track as this thing was, it was rough. But congrats to the winners out there tonight. Thank you for everyone tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. But that's going to do for myself here at VIR. We'll see you at the track.